to Starry Eyed Fighters, Episode 7, reading Chapter 11. Drying her tear-stained eyes with a shaky hand, Belle sat up, realizing she was no longer on the floor but in a bed. Adjusting herself, she muttered,
At least the cryptid old cunt gave me a bed.
rubbing her head, still feeling the lingering effects of Tori's spell. She glanced down at the black blanket wrapped around her and then at the soft light casting a glowing circle-shaped shadow over her. Tilting her head back, her breath hitched as her gaze landed on the bright yellow halo hovering above her. Its light was akin to a glowing bulb.
So that dream really was true. That was Ma, and I'm a half angel.
She whispered, her voice trailing off as the weight of her revelation sank in. Pushing the thoughts aside, Belle swung her legs off the red and black twin bed, her socked feet landing softly on the polished hardwood floor. Standing up, a chill breeze brushed against her bare arms, making her shiver.
Shite, do these nights folks ever get frosty? Where's me jacket?
She rumbled, hugging herself, again regretting wearing just the V-neck tank top at the moment. Her eyes swept the room as she searched for her belongings, momentarily distracted by the spotless and ancient aesthetic surrounding her. The small windowless room was dimly lit by a modest crystal chandelier dangling from the ceiling, its flickering candlelight casting a soft ethereal glow. The walls were a deep crimson, glossy as though freshly polished, with a dark wainscoting running along their lower half. The polished black hardwood floor reflected the faint light, mirroring Belle's figure and the glowing halo above her head. The sparse furnishings consisted of her bed and a narrow black writing desk across the room and nothing else. Squinting at the desk, Belle instinctively patted her face.
Of course, me glasses.
She shuffled over to the desk, squinting through the dim light to spot her bomber jacket neatly folded, her duffel bag sitting beside it, and her low-cut brown boots resting on the floor.
Well, everything seems to be here, thankfully.
She muttered, grabbing her glasses and slipping them on. The world finally snapped into a clear focus. Pulling on her forest green jacket and lacing up her boots, she reached for her duffel bag and slung it over her shoulder. Turning toward the tall, heavy oak door to her left, she muttered.
That must be the way out.
As her hand stretched toward the doorknob, a sudden explosive explosion blasted the door off its hinges. Reacting on instinct, Belle leapt back just in time to avoid the impact. The door crashed to the ground, and on top of it lay a scratched up wreck struggling against two massive humanoid wolves. Veins bulged under their hairy, muscular forms as their sharp claws swiped at him. Rex holding a long metal staff wedged into the jaws of one werewolf, growling angrily. Yo, Miss Belle, a little help, please. The creatures thrashed violently, their drooling mouths chomping down on the staff as Rex braced himself against their sheer strength. Each wore a militaristic black and white uniform with a silver Milky Way emblem pinned to its chest. Belle froze, her mind racing.
Oh, freak.
She whispered, her sapphire eyes darting from wolves to the emblem. An
An actual werewolf. And an emblem. I've seen it before.
The wolves snapped and growled, their claws shredding the floor beneath them. Rex gritted his teeth, his knuckles an ashy white, as he strained against their relentless assault. "Any time now, Miss Bell," Rex called out, his voice strained.
Right.
Belle snapped out of her daze, gripping her duffel bag tightly.
Let's see if these months can handle this. Hey, a bit o' sheep worked wonders. Me mom's back to normal, and I feel me mana is back to normal, and I feel like I can take a whole world.
Belle thought, considering her next move. Closing her eyes, she crouched low, pressing both hands firmly to the floor. Whispering quickly to herself, she invoked.
Elven spell, Kisa, Elven, former Donham, Dornai, Armordom.
The hardwood floor beneath her shimmered, rippling as it began forming layers around her. From head to toe, Belle became encased in sturdy wooden armor, its grain etched like ancient runes. Only her eyes and glasses remained exposed, glowing faintly with determination behind the conjured shell. Belle stormed forward with purpose, grabbing one of the wolves by its snout in one swift motion.
Off with Chi.
She roared, hurling the beast into a nearby wall. The creature slammed against the surface with a sickening crack, its spine giving way as it crumpled unconscious, its body hanging awkwardly upside down. The remaining wolf, now cautious, released the metal rod from its jaws and executed a quick backflip, narrowly avoiding Belle's attempted dropkick. Regaining its stance, the werewolf adjusted its black pants, then buttoned up its high-collared jacket to expose a muscular, fur-covered torso. From its sides, it drew a pair of polished nunchucks with a smooth, fluid precision. With a confident thwip, 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 the wolf twirled the nunchucks in a dazzling display of skill, spinning them around its back, wrists, under its arms, and over its head. The rapid movements created a blur of wood and chain, equal parts intimidation and cocky showmanship. Belle scoffed, rolling her eyes.
Alright, I get it. You're the best Bruli. Yaffrey gobshit. Alright, I get it. You're the next Bruce Lee. Yaffrey gobshit. Can we just get it with it already?
The wolf paused to brush its nose with its thumb, then tucked the nunchucks under its armpits. Dropping into a low, wide stance, it struck the disciplined karate pose and motioned at Belle with its clawed hand, beckoning her forward.
Oh, cocky bastard, are you?
Belle snarled, narrowing her eyes as she readied herself in an orthodox left-handed stance. Belle lunged forward, snapping a sharp jab at the werewolf's head. The creature dodged effortlessly, sliding to the side with a smooth sidestep, its black eyes glimmering with amusement. It began to circle her, bouncing lightly on its feet, pumping its claws up and down with a rhythm that exuded confidence and fluidity. The werewolf's movements were elegant and energetic, almost like a dance, every step deliberate and taunting. Belle narrowed her eyes.
You're fancy yourself a showman, do you? We'll see how cocky you are when I wipe that smirk off your saggy mug.
She launched in a flurry of punches, jabs, straights, even a hook aimed at its ribcage. But each time the werewolf weaved and swayed, its lightning fast reflexes leaving her strikes slicing through empty air. With a quick flick of its wrist, it caught one of her wild punches in the chain of its nunchaku, twisting swiftly to lock her arm in place.
Fucking hell.
Belle cursed, trying to wrench herself free, but the beast capitalized on her momentary struggle. A powerful sidekick slammed into her midsection with then another and another, driving her back until her back hit the cold stone wall behind her. Her pupils would dilate sporadically, and her head would throb painfully from the sudden impact. The werewolf let out a triumphant howl, spinning the nunchucks in a blur before unleashing a barrage of strikes. The chains whistled through the air, cracking against Belle's armor like thunderclaps. She raised her arms to shield her head, bracing against the onslaught.
Fucking asshole. Even with this damn armor, you're like one man storm.
Belle gritted her teeth, the pain of strikes rattling her bones despite the protective gear.
Alrighty then, if you want to play tough, let's fucking dance.
Her sky blue eyes sparkled with a determination as she prepped to counterattack, timing the rhythm of the wolf's strikes. She was not about to let this overgrown furball beat her down. Belle's sharp eyes tracked the whirlwind of strikes from the werewolf's nunchaku. It moved with impossible speed, but after a few moments, she caught its rhythm, timing it perfectly. She shot her hand out, catching the chain mid-swing. With a fierce yank, she pulled the werewolf toward her, its snarling face colliding cartoonishly into her heavy wooden armor, towering over its hunched, wiry frame. Belle let out a snarky grin.
Gotcha now, Frankie. Frankie. Frankie Fang?
Jackie Fang.
Oh, Jackie Fang. Okay.
With her left hand, she tore the nunchucks away and flung it across the room, the weapon clattering uselessly on the wall near the other werewolf. Her hands immediately latched onto the beast's thick chest fur, twisting it like you would wring out a wet washcloth. The werewolf let out a startled whimper, its inky black eyes widening in shock.
What's wrong, Fallen? I hope you didn't think your attacks were that efficient.
Belle taunted, her voice dripping with superiority. She immediately smashed her armor cranium forward, slamming it into the creature's skull with a brutal thud, preventing it from retaliating. The wolf staggered, its legs wobbling, and its growl turned into a dazed groan. Not letting up, Belle shifted her grip, hooking her arms around the wolf's torso, and with a surge of raw power, lifted it clean off the ground. The werewolf flailed weakly, still reeling from the headbutt, as she swung its limp body overhead and slammed it down with a devastating piledriver. The impact was thunderous and fierce, sending a reverberating shockwave through the ground as the creature's head and shoulders cratered into the floor. The sound of cracking stone and the wolf's low pained whine echoed in the aftermath. Leaning forward, with her hands on her knees, Belle stood over her knocked out opponent, her chest rising and falling as at a fast pace with each breath. With a relieved smirk, she released her spell with the heavy wooden armor unlatching, letting it crumble to the ground piece by piece.
And that will teach you not to play around with an Irish lass.
Belle spat out, sneering with satisfaction. That was a bit much, don't you think? Rex said, stepping over the rubble and surveying the mess. Belle scratched her head, glancing at the werewolf's tattered form.
Well, he's not dead, I think.
I guess it doesn't matter, really. I guess it really doesn't matter if they're dead or alive anyway, Rex replied, nudging the limp body with his sneaker. They invaded us.
Who's they?
Belle asked, her expression turning sharp with concern. It's the whole reason I came running, Rex said, his face serious. Cosmo Council, Vice President Saju and his team are here invading for no reason. Belle's eyes widened and she let out a shocked shriek.
The fucking Cosmo Council? The second highest ranking group of the council is here too? What the bloody hell did you lot do? They don't invade places like this for no reason. They're the bleeding universal government for fucking sake.
Her voice rose in panic as she started pacing.
This is bad, really bad. If I get caught up in this mess, I can lose my job.
I get your frustration, but you're already in the thick of it now, Rex said, his tone calm but firm. His eyes flicked up to the faint halo above her head, a smirk tugging at his corner of his lips. And by the way, that halo suits you. Really seems natural on you. Love it. He leaned in slightly, his gaze locking onto hers. But you're a mix of angel and elf, aren't you? Pretty sure that's illegal under both angel and Cosmo Council law. Or at least that's what my aunt told me.
Damn it.
Elle thought, her jaw tightening as she glanced down at the now slightly cracked pocket watch in her hand.
I hate to admit it, but he's not wrong. Either I jump into whatever this raid is or not. I'm ready in hot water with the law.
She traced her fingers over the worn surface of the watch, the object that had once held her father's illusion spell. A magic that shielded her true lineage from conflict. Her mother's fortune from her dream echoed her mind, vivid and illuminating. And the image of her riddled in chains, those words were seared into her memory. The two of you are destined to change the world. Belle gripped the pocket watch tightly, her resolve hardening.
Fuck it, I'm in it.
She said, her voice steady and confident. She took the watch carefully into her duffel bag and straightened, nodding firmly at Rex, determined. There is no turning back now.
So, where's everyone else?
Belle asked, her boots clicking against the polished floor as she made her way toward the hallway. Mostly on the first and second floors, Rex replied briskly. The front entrance to the mansion got clean blown off, so it's chaos down there. Open space with everyone fighting it out.
And what floor are we on now?
Fifth floor, Rex said, far right wing of the mansion. This is the guest area. Lucky for us, not too many werewolves or other night creatures follow me up here to get you after I managed to convince Aunt Tori to undo her spell. As the words left his mouth, a sharp whistling sound cut through the air. In an instant, 4 arrows flew towards them. Rex reacted with inhuman reflexes, snatching to mid-flight, the shafts barely missing his nose. Belle threw herself to the ground, going prone against the thick red carpet, her heart pounding in her chest.
Shite.
She hissed, peering up cautiously. The pair stared ahead, their eyes locking on the source of the attack. 4 undead figures, their once pristine Cosmo Council uniforms now tattered and smeared with dirt and rot, stood at the end of the wide, long hall. The gaunt, decrepit faces, hollowed eyes, and jerky movements sent a shiver down Belle's spine. The stench of decay hung heavy in the air. Next to the undead, 4 hulking werewolves crouched low, their black eyes glowing with savage intent. Their fur was matted with blood, their council insignias barely visible on their tattered uniforms. Beside them hovered 2 banshees with their otherworldly forms shifting and flickering like the smoke caught in the breeze. The uniforms clung to their translucent bodies, and their faces, pale and gaunt, were twisted into expressions of eternal sorrow. Their wails, though muted for now, lingered faintly in the air like a distant chilling cry. Belle scrambled to her feet, her fists clenched.
This is just grand.
She muttered under her breath.
As if the fucking wolves weren't bad enough, now we have got undead and banishes too. What's next? Fucking dragons?
Any ideas, Miss Bell? Rex asked, his voice tight as he crouched behind the hallway dresser to his left. They outnumber us significantly, and I don't exactly have any electric devices handy for contact fusion. I would touch the ceiling light bulbs, but they're firing arrows at us, and you can't see in the dark like I can.
Hey, I've got an idea.
Belle replied, her tone sharp but unfettered. She clutched her right shoulder, stretching out her arm with an open palm. Her jaw tightened as she closed her eyes, but
But it's a bloody painful one on my part.
she shifted slightly, pressing her back against the red colored wall near the dresser as she prepared herself for what was to come.
Elven spell, tiger clad shoe.
Belle whispered, the elven spell flowing naturally in her native elven Irish tongue. To be able to perform such a spell, Belle pressed her hand tightly against her shoulder, her freckled face contorted with pain as the transformation began. Her fair, her fair skin erupted with tufts of snowy white fur, patterned with jagged yellow stripes that rippled along her long frame. A guttural groan escaped her lips, her teeth grinding again together as her body twisted and reshaped at will. Her jaw clenched as sharp fangs forced their way from her gums, her once pointed elf ears shrinking into rounded feline shapes. The pain intensified and she doubled over, her tall, lithe form trembling as her clothes tore apart under the strain. Fabric shredded with loud rips, falling to the floor in tatters as her shoulders broadened, her arms thickened, and her fingers curled into massive paws tipped with deadly claws. Belle dropped to all fours, a choked gasp breaking free as her head stretched and warped. Her delicate elven features gave way to a powerful feline muzzle, her nose elongating into a snout as long as black whiskers into a snout as long black whiskers sprouted on either side. Her sky blue eyes remained, but her pupils rounded into a tiger's predatory gaze, glowing with an unsettling intensity. Her bones cracked and shifted one final time, her spine extending into a thick striped tail that lashed behind her. The transformation ended with Belle standing tall in her new form, an imposing Siberian tiger. Every muscle taut and coil with raw power. She let out a low growl, her blue eyes locking onto Rex, gesturing him to hop on her back.
Right.
She thought to herself, steadying her breath.
Time to get these bastards hell.
This is gonna be fun, Rex said with a wicked grin, perched on Belle's massive tiger back. Her legs gripped her sides for balance, and with one powerful motion, he heaved the sturdy hallway dresser into the air, sending it hurling down the corridor toward their enemies. Belle wasted no time. Her powerful tiger limbs coiled, and she launched into a full-speed charge beyond the airborne dresser. Her roar tore through the hallway like thunder, a deep primal sound that rattled the walls and stunned two wolves and all four of the undead still like brick. The dresser crashed into two werewolves, shattering their teeth and sending them sprawling unconscious onto the floor. The undead arrow shooters stood no chance. The brittle bodies shattered to pieces as the heavy dresser knocked into them like a couple of pins in a bowling alley. But the banshees were unfazed. Their ghostly forms drifted effortlessly through the wreckage, untouched by the physical assault. Their ethereal forms hovered creepily above the chaos. The two remaining wolves dropped to all fours, snarling as they dodged the incoming dresser. Their yellow eyes locked onto Belle, and with a burst of speed, they lunged forward, attempting a counterattack. Belle skidded to a stop, her claws scraping against the carpet as she braced herself for their charge. Rex, still gripping her fur tightly, shouted, "Let's do it to it, you smelly mutts." Belle growled low, her sharp blue eyes narrowing as the hallway filled with a sound of claws and utter rage. As the world was charged, Rex vaulted into the air, using Belle's sturdy back as a springboard. With a flexible twist, he reached the hallway chandelier on the ceiling. His bare fingers would brush against the exposed light bulb, draining it of its power instantly. The room would soon plunge into darkness due to his contact fusion. He would feel familiar the he would feel familiar the electric power surging through his veins. On the ground, Belle wasted no time. Her newly acquired night vision kicked in. Her eyes twinkled in the darkness as she locked eyes on one of the charging beasts. With a feral roar, she tackled the werewolf head on, her heavy frame slamming it to the ground. Her claws and teeth tore into its flesh with overwhelming strength, shredding the wolf man into a bloody pulp. Above the chaos, Rex stood dangling on the chandelier until he saw an opening on the other werewolf. And now, cowering after seeing its teammate under Belle's might, descending down like a strike of lightning, Rex would piggyback the werewolf, his hands locked on its head with a deadly grip. A cracking current would surge through his palms as he weaponized to absorb electricity, targeting the creature's cellular action potential. The werewolf would spasm violently before collapsing, its neural functions circuited, making its body left lifeless. Sheesh, I didn't think that would work since he's not an electric device or robot. But I guess living cells technically have electricity. If I focus hard enough, Rex chuckled, looking at his hands. With a low guttural growl, Belle caught Rex's attention and pointed toward the remaining obstacle, the two banshees. The two would float, glowing ominously in an up and down manner, their long, razor sharp claws now poking out. Right, the banshees. How are we supposed to defeat them? They are ghosts, Rex remarked, his concern clear even in the darkness. The two banshees unleashed a blood-curdling wail, a sound so piercing and vile it seemed to promise Rex and Belle's imminent demise. Their ethereal forms twisted and contorted, molding into something far more sinister. One dissolved into a black shape of a crow, its hollow, unblinking eyes fixed on them. The other morphed into the decrepit, eyeless old woman, her shriveled face a void of despair. The crow perched on the old woman's hunched shoulder as she began to move, each step slow and deliberate. A suffocating aura of dark magic radiated from her presence, the air itself growing heavier with each movement. A shiver clawed up Belle's spine as the old woman's grotesquely long, razor-sharp nails dragged along the floor, the sound like the scrape of a deadly blade being unsheathed. The banshees advanced, their very presence a herald of death. They began to sing a chilling death Latin melody that dripped with malice. Their voices whispered and screamed simultaneously, an eerie, discordant harmony in a language born of nightmares. The sinister tones seemed to claw at the soul, each word steeped in devilish, otherworldly cadence. Even with even with fear tightening her chest, Belle stayed resolute. She grabbed her duffel bag, zipping it to reveal a glass jar labeled in bold letters. Light in the jar, an Irish elf classic. Inside, pure elven light magic glowed softly. a powerful force capable of banishing any ghostly creature. In Ireland, with its history of spectral beings like banshees, Belle always kept one of these jars handy. Clutching the jar delicately in her mouth, slobber dampening the glass, she passed it over to Rex. Ugh, Belle, you couldn't have handed me that any other way, he grimaced, wiping the slobber. But if this helps, I'm all for it. So I just throw it at them? Rex asked, holding the jar carefully. Belle gave him a firm, silent nod. With a quick flick of his wrist, Rex hurled the jar straight at the advancing banshee. The glass shattered on impact. The banshee began to dissolve, melting into a sludgy mixture of white and black ghostly goo. Wasting no time, Belle lunged forward, stomping down with heavy paws to extinguish whatever was left of the creature's life. Alrighty, let's get moving. We need to get downstairs, help the others, and see what's going on, Rex said. Belle nodded in agreement, dipping her head to hoist Rex onto her back. With him securely riding, they bolted down the hallway, prepared to defend themselves as they raced toward the chaotic battle on the first floor. Okay, that's the end of chapter 11, episode 7. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.